Today's episode, we have with us a special guest. He's going to come on and share with us about his experience, which is a very good one as well. So first off, so Dr. Robb, if you kind of want to give yourself a little introduction for the audience that doesn't really know you yet.
Hey guys, my name's Dr. Robb Kelly, originally from England, now living in San Antonio, Texas. I've been in Texas for about 18 years now. Chronic alcoholic and drug addict, living on the streets. Lost everything back home. Lost my children, the wife, houses, medical license, everything just went. And over a year on the streets. And here I am today, all these years on, probably 30 years on. I came off the streets. I died twice on the streets. So by the time I got off the streets, I'm pissed and I'm angry that nobody could tell me what I was suffering for. It's used to go to meetings, do 1990, and all this shit they told me. Meetings will never keep me sober. The big book will, but meetings as a whole. And I found out the hard way. So I came up with a vengeance to find out what alcoholism and addiction really is. And that's been my journey aggressively. Those of you guys that heard of me, you know I don't give a shit about anything that anybody says about me. And those guys that really know me know quite well that I spent millions on the journey finding out exactly what's going on. And it shocked me. And here we are today, 11,500 patients on, probably millions of people with my TV and books and stuff. But yeah, just great to be here, man. And looking forward to this.
All right. So I guess let's start at the beginning for the most part. Can you share the pivotal moment that led you from having the successful career into the homelessness of alcoholism?
Well, for me, it was kind of, it was all of a sudden for me, but it was gradual for everybody else. So I was at college, I was playing, I took my first drink at the age of 9 on stage. I was a musician, I've always been a musician, I come from a musical family. So at the age of 9, I'm on with my auntie and uncle, playing live gigs. Little tiny signs were happening around me. So as I grew up, I'm always the first in the bar, the last to leave kind of thing. The tolerance for alcohol was my deal. And when I was in training, because I used to bodybuild and fight, I would take amphetamine, so I was sober, for like 3 or 4 months if there was like a fight coming up or something. So gradually, slowly, and then I don't really think I knew, we have a problem here. So I'm living in a nice house, 2 little girls, ages 1 and 3, nothing. I remember stabbing my wife 3 times one night for sure, let me finish a bottle of vodka. Crazy stuff like that. Not for me though, it was just it was when I was homeless, man. It was when I was homeless after about 14 months on the streets. I dropped down to my hands and knees one night and I started crying like a baby. And the reason I was crying is because right there and then, after all the stuff that I'd been through, I realized right there and then that I couldn't stop drinking. And it took all of that for me, the losses, the heartache, the torment, the pain, all the stuff that addiction brings us. But it took me down to that pivotal moment where everything just, the realization was horrific.
How long were you homeless for?
About 14 months.
Okay. So in that 14 months, did it register that it was a problem in the beginning, or did it take a while before it registered? Because I know my own personal story. In the beginning, I kind of enjoyed homelessness at first. I was like, oh yeah, this is easy. It's not a big thing, until I was like, oh shit, this isn't so easy anymore.
Yeah, the first night, my dad threw me out. I married this girl, going back to the house. Anyway, no drinking, threw me out. So I'm sat in Manchester. It's about 8 p.m. at night. It's dark. It's raining. I'd caught the bus into Manchester with the money my dad gave me. And I'm sat on the bench looking people walking by with umbrellas and think, what the fuck just happened? Like, where did that all go wrong? That realization. But as time went on, I was a bit like you, I think. Street life, the violence, the drinking, the falling asleep in the sun. I quite like that shit. I got used to it. I got used to getting up and hurting people. And I come from the very rough area of what you guys would call the projects, guys, council estate in England. So I could fight from an early age. I was trained pretty well, and then became a bodybuilder. So I was kind of at everything to take your head off if I needed to. I did the doors. I worked the doors for a long time. So it kind of suited me to get anything I wanted to get. It was like $1 million in real life. It's like I could take anything I wanted to take. I was bigger than everybody. I was faster than everybody else. I don't give a shit. You know, I lost everything. So yeah, but as the time went on, I started to get weaker and weaker because I was just drinking alcohol and I wasn't eating food. So my weight dropped and eventually I was depraved, got my nose broken several places, most of my teeth knocked out, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, it became, I was happy to die in the streets. I have no qualms about that, you know. The biggest thing, let me tell you, just come to me right now. The biggest thing was I didn't have all the pressure of the mortgage and the kids and looking after them, being responsible, all that shit that was doing every day. It was like, yeah,
It felt freedom.
yeah.
Yeah. I felt the same way. I felt free at first. At first. After like a while in, we have winter. So like once the winter time hit, I was like, okay, this isn't fun anymore. When the snow comes out,
Yeah.
the weather's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Like in England, it's mostly rain, no cloud. But when it was cold, I remember going into a derelict building. They were trying to refit me and this other guy, Matt, and we know all over the place. It was freezing, so uh, we got this carpet they were fitting, so we rolled ourselves up on the carpet, and he rolled me up, and then he kind of done himself. And the next morning, I couldn't get out the fucking carpet, man. I was stuck in this carpet that was rolled up, and he'd gone. Obviously needed a drink, and I was stuck in there for a few hours until the workmen come back and let me out. Yeah, crazy, crazy days.
One of the things that you talk about a lot, which is my favorite philosophy of yours. You often talk about the problem is not our drinking, it's our thinking. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, on your philosophy on that?
So it started with a liquor store journey. I'm outside a liquor store, off license in the UK. It's snowing. I've got a pair of flip flops on, shorts, and a vest, and I'm sweating profusely. So I know something's going down here. The guy knew me from the liquor store. He opens the door 5:30. Shouldn't be opening until 7. Lets me in. With this day, whatever happened, I'm shaking. I couldn't put my senses, and I put my £10 as usual, and he put the bottle on the counter as usual. And for whatever reason, this is what happened: wet, stop, shake, stop, mood, instantly in a great mood, fantastic. I remember looking at the bottle that was unopened. I looked back at the shopkeeper, back at the bottle, and went, "Fuck, it's not about the alcohol." And it was right there that didn't stop me drinking, or didn't come off the streets then. But about 6 or 7 months later, when I come off and got my head right, I'm like, what the hell was that about? And that's when I went to research of what alcoholism really is. Because nobody's researching this shit. Pharmaceutical companies are not researching how to get us well. Doctors are not researching alcoholism and addiction because there's no real money in it. You know, about giving pills out. Like nobody wants to touch it. If you can't stick you in a treatment center for 30 days at 25 grand a month and then relapse and go back. Now, so that's what I was facing, is no one was interested, man. It was just a long battle for me trying to tell and teach and research that alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism, and the same with every other addiction. People thought it was crazy.
Yeah, I agree a lot with that. Kind of like what you were saying, because like my thing was always heroin, and like, you know, I'd be sick until I knew it was on its way, and then I was no longer sick again, and that was my realization. Because like when I was in rehab, I was like, wait, I think this is deeper than just the heroin, because like I'm okay when I know it's on its way, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I find that philosophy the best.
That's everything I talk about in any podcast or TV interview, we've researched. So everything I say, people go, that can't be true. We've researched. So that philosophy alone, we researched, and with some friends of ours that kept relapsing, and you know, so we asked them one day if they were going to relapse, can we go and pick them up and take them to the liquor store or the drug dealer? And they said, yeah, and we wired him up with the heart and the brain. And we picked him up, we took him there, they went in, they got the stuff, they come out, they were back in the car, we took them on, they went in the house and they used or drank. The most intoxicating part of all that journey was the trip to the liquor store. And that was like, oh, the world, oh my God, like, do you not understand what I was saying? I was like, yeah, whatever. But no, you're not getting it, it's not the alcohol, you know, and it's like, when I came to Texas, man, they stripped me of my license to see patients, man, and to say, you crazy, you're hurting people, and these philosophies you have and ideas are just stupid. And now I lecture to those guys, by the way, peeps at home, I lecture to those guys, so it's kind of gone full round, you know.
So you've worked with a lot of people over the years. I mean, a whole lot. What do you think the most common pattern is that you've observed?
Well, I think childhood trauma and the patterns we gain from that psychologically, mostly subconsciously, is the most powerful journey, I think. And this goes with A, everyone has an addiction, B, everyone has childhood trauma. So we based it on that kind of thesis. Then we look at the behavior throughout, and it's patterns that we get into of self-sabotage. That's the common theme, whether you suffer from depression, heroin, porn, sex, food, whatever it is, that's the denominator there of that pattern that we get in. And the only way I can describe it is there's a part in the brain called the basal ganglia, and it's kind of our repetition part of the brain. If we do something like drive a car, the very first time it's not very good, we're scared, and after a few months it goes around so many times a learning pattern, it becomes a working part of the mind. But during that working pattern, every time we go around, it's another oh yes, like 10,000 hours in the air for a commercial pilot before he can fly commercial jet. It's that basal ganglia. But what happens with the addictive nature and the alcoholics especially is if you look at the round clock of the basal ganglia, 12 o'clock will go on a bender, 10 after will come round, 20 after the wife lets us back in, home, half past I'm allowed to see the kids again, 22 I get that amazing job interview, and at 10 to the hour, smash it all down again. That's the pattern that we're in. And unless you fix that with the hypothalamus, you're going to relapse and relapse until you die, if you're the real deal.
I agree with that. What about so I don't know how you, I'm sure over the years you've had to experience this when you get like the court ordered people, and you get I don't want to be here. I just got to make the judge happy. Um, how do you help? I think how to word this. How do you help like frame it so that they can see the real issue, so that they can break that pattern of like, oh shit, you know what? Like, yeah, I am. Like I always tell my clients, like, look, man, you're not winning in life if you're in my office. You've obviously lost. So let's figure this out. Like, how do you approach that subject?
It's over the years I've learned and observed that reverse psychology is the best form of psychology. And what I mean by that is truly, okay, I don't care who you are, movie star. I work with a lot of movie stars, A-listers today. I don't give a fuck if you're the best actor in the world or whether you clean the toilets. I don't give a fuck, first of all. I don't care whether you come on or not with us. I really don't. And I think by saying that, it pisses people off, especially when they've got mom and dad with, a checkbook or, they've been forced to come here. We have that sit down talk. I know you don't want to be here, so fucking leave. Well, no, I don't give a shit, leave. Especially the rich guys. Well, I've just paid. Oh, I'm giving a shit how much you paid. I don't get involved in that. And by the way, you're not going to refund. So when you get back on your fucking plane, go home. Because I don't give a shit whether you come on or not. Now, if you do, then you're my deal. I'll get you well 100%. 100%, otherwise I'll refund you money. 100%, no matter what you're going through. But don't think for a second that you'll do me any fucking favors by being here, because you're not. That's the way I frame it. 99.9% of the time, they go, okay then. And they stay, But if I sat there in the early days, I go, well, please, back in my mind, mum and dad's just give me 50 grand a month for doing this. I go, no, it's okay. It'll be okay. I just step back and go, fuck you, whatever. And it shocked them. Because for me, working with addiction and alcoholism, you have to shock the brain. And when you shock the brain in an instant, and the central nervous gets jerked, you've got a free line into the subconscious brain right that second. The only reason I curse, like you meet me in real life, I'm so quiet, confident, don't fuck with me. But when I'm on screen or something, it's a little bit more aggressive because, when I say like, fuck you, all of a sudden the thing I say next, the next couple of seconds is vitally important because it slips into the subconscious brain, which you obviously be picked up by the conscious brain. But yeah, it's that shock syndrome straight away. It works every time,
I mean, I think so. I think it's the most effective way. It's the method that I use up here. And I mean, the state of Pennsylvania doesn't like it. They get all bent out of shape over it. But I'm like, yeah, well, we got results though. By telling somebody, like, if you don't want this, then go the fuck home. I don't care. It seems to keep them more entrenched into that method and to like, oh, okay, maybe I do need to stand in.
And I think it's being true to that. And what I mean by that is we turned a pop star down for $1 million 18, 19 years ago when I first came here. And I always say that I had about $200 or $300 in the bank. You know, we just started this, I had no money. It would have been so easy to go, oh, no problems. Yeah, no problems. But the base core of me is I've seen so many people die of this stuff. I've seen families being ripped apart. It's like if I'm in this for the money, there's something going wrong somewhere. And those people that are in it for the money, you'll get found out really quick and you won't make a success of yourself. And it's really important that you stick to that no matter what. There's two things that's been the hardest for me as a council estate projects guy, been brought up on the mean streets and stuff like that, is one, behaving myself in the early days. When I speak somewhere, there's always girls giving phone numbers, and even today when I speak anywhere, you know, they see that, you know, I'm affluent and stuff like that, but I'm relatable because I'm from the streets. And the second one is that don't do it for the fucking money. And everything worked out for me and most people that I know, if you stick, but it's hard to stick to that, guys. I'm not sat here like a saint, you know, it's really hard sometimes when, you know, you're getting offered this from 25, 26-year-old girls and they're slipping the phone number and whispering in your ear. But I check it, I go back, sit down, I give it to my wife and we both have a laugh about it. Like, you're 64, I've been that crazy. I said, I know. You think I'm handsome? She went, shit, no, it's about your money, not you, you idiot. And let's go home. You know, we have a great banter, me and my wife. It's about realizing what's going on in life and just being true to yourself, I think.
Yeah, I like that. You're down in Texas? What do you guys have going on down there? What's your trend right now, drug wise?
Well, here's the crazy point. So when I started in America, it was 100% addiction. And then we did other stuff. As of about 5 years ago, we do 10% addiction and alcoholism right now. The rest is we're doing deep search into Alzheimer's. And so we've got a couple of patients with Alzheimer's and dementia that we've seen a 13% increase in short-term memory. People who are depressed, people who can't do anything with their life, trauma, building entrepreneurs, building businesses, getting your confidence back. It's all based around that because we have a couple of tools that we use. We use the 9D breathwork. We have a company that does all that. You can do it online. So that's huge right now. It's really picking up. So modulation units that we use, which is just medical grade red light therapy, which is changing the world. And then right next door to my office is I opened a restaurant about 2 years ago. It's a full blown British restaurant with all the fit British food you can get back in England and stuff like that. So that kind of keeps us busy right now, but definitely because there's more to alcoholism and addiction, we're seeing people come in and go, hey, listen, I have this problem and I think it's related. And we go, no, it's not. I'm an alcoholic, but I've also got, you know, both bipolar, really. And then we get this, you know, I'm very depressed, doc. I don't know what to do. Okay, so you've been to the doctor. Oh, yeah, I went to the doctors. I'm on, you know, such and such a medicine for depression. How long have you been taking that? Oh, about 5 years. When the fuck did you think he was going to kick in? Hasn't kicked in. We get loads of that shit. You know, why are you taking this? Well, my doctor said, doctors don't know shit about fucking addiction or depression or anxiety. PTSD is real, but they don't know how to treat it. ADHD, attention deficit, it's not fucking a deficit, it's an overload. It's not attention, it's attention overload. Why are we giving these kids amphetamine salts and, you know, all that stuff that we come up against? It's like people just go to the doctor and they go, hey, wifey, I'm feeling depressed. Oh, you should go and see the doctor. Okay. I go see the doctor. He doesn't ask me about my diet, my home life, my work life, my exercise, all that. He doesn't ask me nothing about that, which basically made him a high-paid fucking drug dealer. All he does is writes me a prescription for some medication, which is just really false serotonin. So I go home and take this false serotonin for the rest of my life, which means my normal serotonin is depleted. So now I depend, you know, why isn't anybody asking the question before we go to the doctors? Why is my serotonin low in the first place? No, we're not doing that. So we want to change all that around you. And we're talking about psych, guys, before you get on your high horse at home. Anything else for medication, for any other ailment, we're not talking about that. We're talking about pure psych. Because we have to start questioning people before we get put on lithium, before we get put on all these powerful, crazy drugs, which the brain was never the same when you come out of them.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're just it's insane the amount of people that are just diagnosed with things that it's like, where did this diagnosis come from? This don't even make sense. And like, you know, it's neither here nor there. We won't go on that on that tangent. Yeah, that's a rabbit hole. All right, so AA and NA. the support groups.
For me, it was always AA, though I spoke loads of times at NA, CA, Cocaine Anonymous, Celebrate Recovery. I spoke at all of them, but for me, the meetings are shit today. For me, the book of Alcoholics Anonymous is the best piece of literature I have ever read pertaining to the recovery of an alcoholic and addict. And I studied Carl Jung at university. So two things happen. One, it's never read properly. They don't understand it. They just read it and think it's a fucking book to read. It's not. The first 164. Step one always kills me when people are always quoting that. Step one, we're all powerless over alcohol. It doesn't say that. Read it properly. We admitted we were powerless. We're not powerless over alcohol. So yeah, definitely AA with that. But yeah, I don't go to AA anymore. Just because the guys in there are fucking idiots. And they don't go for the real reason. And if I had to make a statement, I would say that, and I've traveled across the world on behalf of AA speaking for about 20 years, anywhere, anytime, any hour, is about 90% of people in Alcoholics Anonymous that are not alcoholics. That's the deal right there. You say, oh, I went to my first meeting, got sober. Impossible. You can't fucking do that. There's work to be done. You know, when we had the psychic change, which is basically neuroplasticity, it's the change of neural pathways, psychic change of mind, psychic mind, and a connection with a higher power. The connection is real. It's my mind, which is energy. You can't touch it, feel it, connects with another energy outside your body. Your DNA changes. That's what Alcoholics Anonymous book, because that's the book. The rest is a fellowship, is about. Is taking to that place where it's almost impossible for you to relapse ever again. But the meetings are not like that these days, you know. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. What works? Oh, just keep coming back. Have some coffee. Yeah, but you said there's work to do. Yeah, you don't worry. You get it by osmosis. I don't know what the fuck that means now. Never mind back then. I'll get by osmosis. What does that mean? You know, it's crazy. It's like in the early days, there's work to be done. Come in, do the fucking work. The steps are meant to be done overnight. Oh, now, come on. That's not true. Step 5, go home. It tells us. Step 2, immediately. Step 3 would have little effect unless at once, followed by step 4, next. And then step 5, go home. Can you imagine stood in the supermarket line and all of a sudden it's your turn and the girl with the seller, next, and you just sat there like, well, my sponsor says do this once a month. Next, people going, it's your turn. Yeah, oh, no, I'll stay here another month because my sponsor said. It's bullshit, man. Get a full knowledge of your condition and get them fucking steps done in 2 days. Or die. I don't give a fuck what it is, to be honest. But I know if I were you, I'd want the first one because life opens up. I only hire ex-alcoholics, addicts, PTSD. You know, I only hire those kind of people.
Yeah, I mean, I very well said. I've been saying this for a while now. With the state of the meetings, I've been taking a lot of flack lately from the recovery community because I've been talking about that's not the only way to recovery, and you guys have like destroyed the actual message because the meetings are just a fellowship. That ain't got shit to do with recovery. You're not getting. Because around here, they always talk about, well, the meeting makers make it. And I'm like, they just make a fucking meeting. That's all that happens.
It's not true. Yeah, not true. If you look at the 3% success rate of AA right now, and again, I got sober in AA, the real AA, not the fucking... Now, there's loads of meetings now that are great, don't get me wrong, and start your own meeting if there isn't like we do. But in general, you know, you are not going to get well or stay well or anything like that when you keep going, take a seat and listen to people piss and moan for an hour. It ain't going to do it. Okay, so you find yourself a good big book. And for me, you know, can church do it? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know, but I've always had that book, man. Not the Bible for me. I don't read the Bible, you know. That book makes it all 100% guaranteed what's in that book. So do I read that book and go to church? Well, I know millions of people do that. It's brilliant. It's the book that's a game changer, man. It's the book that has 100%. I always say when I speak wherever I go to conferences, if somebody mentions a big book, those people that get into AA and straight away find that sponsor who knows what he's talking about, takes you through the book immediately, is 100% success rate. Those guys that come in And I told, there's the coffee. Watch this girl coming in. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, you hear about Jimmy? I see relapse. Wait till he comes. Then people, 0%, unfortunately. You just have to be careful and find out the group for you. You know, that's what I would tell people, man. But the more neuroscience we know now, the more it backs that book up. So the book talks about a psychic change, which is neuroplasticity. What the fuck? Talks about lots of stuff in there. DNA changes, you know, it's a spiritual awakening. It all relates back to 1938 when he wrote the book, but it's just been lost over the years, unfortunately.
Speaking of books, you wrote a book, and
I did.
the book you wrote was actually, it's one of my favorite books. I actually did a thesis paper on this book. I used it for my paper because I was doing so my paper was about the correlation between like addiction in children, and how children just kind of, they're the motivating factor but not enough to stay sober. And like I used your book, which was Daddy Please Stop Drinking, right? And what inspired you about that book to write that?
Wow. Well, after the loss of children and all that stuff, and the homelessness, and, you know, when I came up to America, I was in Dallas for 14 years and then San Antonio for 4. One day, about 5 years ago, somebody said, have you wrote a book? What's your book called? Because that's what I ask people today, what's your book called? They're going to have to fucking wrote a book. Why? Okay, it's very healing. So I was like, I haven't got a book. And 4 or 5 people are still looking. What? So that's the inspiration. I have to put a disclaimer on that. I give my wife pieces of paper, bits of tape recordings, set in the car, and she noted everything over about a year and a half. And then she produced the book. So it's my journey, but she actually wrote it and captured all them, you know, the memories that come in and next minute they're gone again. She captured that. So we had this book. And to see your book in like, you know, like all in, like, I don't know how many pages, like 600 pages or something in the normal format coming off the printer was pretty exciting. Now, a couple of things happened after I wrote the book. And again, guys, if you haven't wrote a book, write one. It's very healing and great stuff will happen. So about 2 weeks after we finished the book and it was put on the shelf and we're ready to go to print, but we didn't have a title. My eldest daughter, who I'd not spoken to for 30 years, messaged me on Facebook in the middle of the night. And I'm like, oh my God, Janet! And she's like, what? It's Charlie. And it read this, hey dad. And the hey dad, I cried for hours and hours. Well, basically, she'd see me on TV over there. She didn't believe what everybody was telling about me. She had something to show me. Could I come over? And she was probably thinking, can I come over in a couple of months? It's like within 5 hours, because we have people around us, as you can imagine. Within 5 hours, we're on a plane heading to the UK. And we stayed there overnight, right next to her house. And we walked around to the house next morning. And all that bad shit was coming back to me. And I couldn't knock on the door. I was crying and I was shaking. And my wife was holding me, and my daughter opened the door, and we fell, and we all cried, and we hugged each other. And she walked me into a living room. She handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter, and that was a game changer for me. But we sat at night time talking. We told her about the book. I wanted to dedicate it to you, Charlie, and I said, but we don't have a title. And my daughter said, what about the last thing I said to you? And I was like, what was that? You know, and they took him away. So the police and the authorities were taking my both kids down the pathway with mom and the authorities. Charlie said 3 things. Daddy, please don't go. And she's 3 years old, so she's got holding mommy's hand. Halfway down the path, she said, Daddy, please get better. And as we got to the gate, they opened this big wrought iron gate, and she turned around one more time and she said, Daddy, please stop drinking. So that's what we call the book. That's where we got it from, you know. We just needed to make sure. Something happened there about recording.
It said it stopped recording, but it looks like it's still recording, so I don't know what that was about.
So yeah, that was it, and you know, dedicated to her, and phenomenal.
How did you start rebuilding that relationship with all the damage that was done?
It was hard, but there was a lot of trust there and a lot of understanding. One thing my daughter did say when we went on was, when we met, is I want to go to school, I want to go to college and learn what you do. So we sent her back. Now, she's a She's an amazing person, and she's my lead therapist today in my Manchester office. But she's become an NLP practitioner. So the understanding and what she went through growing up without me being there and all the crap that I caused was a great understanding. So we had like a baseline. And we worked together today, and it was just time, just rebuilding that time. And she was very knowledgeable about alcoholism. So yeah, it was that. And we visit every week, a couple of weeks we're on Zoom, and 2 or 3 times a year I'll go over there and spend some time with them. And it's just turned into this great relationship that I never thought I would have.
So NLP, let me ask you, do you want to explain a little bit about that?
So NLP is we use a lot of subliminal work in our program, which is basically placing words and scenarios inside the brain of the patient without them knowing that we've placed them words. So it's a subconscious reaction to what we've said. So neuro-linguistic programming is basically what it says. We're putting a different language in the brain. So when we put a different language in the brain, we can perform better, we think better, we act better. So it's a bit like we have to change dialogue in the head. So if we take an old person out of a house, let's say the house speaks Chinese, we pick him up, then you put him in a treatment center, has its own language, let's call it English. So Chinese, English speaking, he stays there for 30 days, we pick him up, we put him back in the Chinese speaking house, guess what? He's going to start speaking Chinese again as he relapse. So this language programming is just different dialogue and thought patterns. Because the thing that gets us is our subconscious self-sabotaging thought patterns and internal dialogue. That's it. That's what alcohol and drugs or depression or whatever will never come to us on a Friday night and go, hey, Rob, let's have a drink. It never does that. It's at least a week before when all the signs start to show. And if we can catch them signs, catch that dialogue, catch that behavior right there and then and change with the program that we teach you, it's impossible to relapse. Almost impossible. Sometimes when I relapse, I got one day, I was like, fuck it, I can't do this anymore. I hate everyone. And I drank, so that's possible. But if I'm on a normal daily day, doing the work, loving yourself, being kind to each other, and being the best in the world at what you do, it's impossible to relapse.
We should have you come talk to the state of Pennsylvania because they look at me like I'm a psycho for talking about this stuff.
I think you are.
I say the same stuff and they look at me like I'm an idiot.
I think that it's that like, what? What are you talking about? It's just that mentality is old school, unfortunately. And the more neuroscience we know today is a game changer. But it's really hard, If it's like this, me and you, we go to a math class, okay, and everyone's got the books out, and we've got our book out, and they go 2 and 2 equals 5, and we go, what? It equals 4. No, it doesn't equals 5. Yeah, but it's in the book. It's 2 and 2 equals 4. No, just keep going back. You'll get it eventually. It's like that scenario is like no one's going to believe you equals 4 because we've been indoctrinated over the years to believe that this and this equals this, and it's just when it comes to addiction and alcoholism, it's just not true. We've got it wrong. The treatment industry as a whole has been broken for many years, and no one apart from people like me and you, and I guess there's millions of us out there, are doing nothing about it because A, it becomes very lonely. B, I stopped looking at the internet, even now, the comments and stuff like that. I found out this thing that anyone who's doing as good as you will never comment badly. It's always the guy doing worse than you. So if someone comments on you negatively, they're not doing as good as us, man. I feel sorry for them. But you always get all the hatred now about you step out of line for a second or you go against it, the norm, and all of a sudden we're the crazy ones. We're the, trying to kill people. And then it's only time, man. It's only time you go through. But hey, look, like I said before, them guys that stripped me of my license, I lectured to those guys today, but I couldn't have done that in a week. I had to take time. I go, wow, Dr. Rob, I've heard that name. What's he got going on? It's kind of that thing.
So one of the things you said earlier in this conversation, which I talk about all the time, like in treatment, I always say like not everybody who comes to rehab is an alcoholic. Not everyone's an addict. Like sometimes they're just what's called the heavy drinker, more or less. In your experience, what's the difference between the heavy drinker and the full-blown addiction side of it in your experience?
So this again, we're talking medical now, we're talking neuroscience, but the big but,
Yep.
you know, actually backs this up, which is again crazy. So they call it the real alcoholic or stuff like that. So there's different stages. Everybody's quick to tag someone today with a label. Oh, Johnny around the corner, he drinks a bottle of vodka, he's an alcoholic. Well, first of all, alcoholism is the only self-diagnosed illness in the world. You can't diagnose somebody as having alcoholism. You've got to look at their family traits, their behavior. When I take alcohol into my body, something differently happens. So then we look at the neuroscience and the brain science around it, and we come to this little character called the hypothalamus. There's the difference right there. So the hypothalamus in normal people tells them to drink water, eat food to survive from birth. It is a survival part of the brain that keeps us alive. With alcoholics, it's broken. What happens during a period of our drinking career, the hypothalamus hijacks the brain and tells the brain to drink alcohol to survive. Otherwise, we'll die. That's why it's a disease. But looking to people, heavy drinker, occasional alcoholic, you can't really tell a difference in the early stages. It's just that most of the people that are have a drinking problem or they abuse alcohol, they can stop or they can moderate it, given a sufficient reason, given that, you know, wanting from the doctor, wanting for the big book, or wife says going to leave them, or, you know, if you don't stop drinking, Johnny, then you're going to have a heart attack. Them guys can stop. Alcoholics cannot. Like, I remember sat in a hospital bed. I was homeless. I'd been picked up again. You know, call the ambulance, took me there, alcoholic poisoning. He kept me for a few hours. And I remember this doctor leaned over my bed. And this was about 7 or 8 p.m. And he's leant over my bed and he's almost in my face. And he said, listen to me carefully. If you ever drink alcohol again, you won't even make it to the hospital in the ambulance. You will not make it here. Am I making myself clear? I'm looking over his shoulder while he's talking, looking at the clock, thinking, I've got about 45 minutes to get out of here and get to the nearest liquor store before it closes. That's the difference. It's like nothing because the hypothalamus. You know, it's a choice. Shut up, you uneducated piece of shit. What do you mean it's a choice? Don't come that shit with me. I stabbed my wife 3 times one night. That was a choice. Fuck out of here with that choice. But they'll try it. You know, they'll come all sorts of stuff like want to be cleverer than you. You know, it's a choice. No, it's not a choice, guys. Unfortunately.
What do you think the biggest well, I mean, that's kind of the biggest, I was gonna say, you know, what's the biggest misconception you think in the society that we have about alcoholism? But I mean, kind of answered what I think is the biggest misconception, which is that it's a choice.
I think that if alcohol was created today, it'd be banned immediately. Here's another problem we have. So again, how do we know this? We researched it. We went to Richard Hospital, we're allowed to go in there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night and do research for at least 2 or 3 months. Alcohol deaths are not being reported as alcohol death. Drug overdoses not being recorded as drug overdoses. They go down as car crash, you know, whatever it is, they put it down. So on a Friday and Saturday night in the hospital, 99.0% of people that are coming through the ER doors was intoxicated or had drugs in the system. Out of that 90%, 42% were kept overnight in a serious condition. Out of the 42%, 11% passed away and 1% was reporting. So we're looking at it. Alcoholism alone kills more people than any other disease in the world. Probably 5 or 6 of them put together. It's just not reporting, man. It's poison. It's killing us. It's destroying families. And for the last 20 years, I keep saying we need to take this serious. We have an epidemic on. You think COVID killed a lot of people? You think World War II killed a lot of people? You know, alcohol saying, hold my fucking beer. You think that they killed up? No idea, man. I'm talking to the guys at home. You have no idea. The research is wrong.
Alcohol still killed more people during COVID than COVID.
Right? Yeah. when your liquor store could stay open because it was an essential business, we know there's something fucking wrong going.
Yeah. All right. So I have a question. So how do you feel about medical assisted treatment?
Love it. Actually, no. Like, if you have to go on like heavy meds to come off of the relapse or come off the drugs, great. As a taper, guys, as a tape. If you're still on Suboxone 6 months down the line, guess what? First of all, the brain doesn't know the difference between the pharmaceutical drugs and the street drugs. And two, you're still using. It's a taper. Let's get off that shit using this, the easy, softer way, get our body back to normal again. But man, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by this Suboxone shit, because here's what happened, okay? Bunch of board members, senior managers in a pharmaceutical company that I went to war with, and they filed bankruptcy the next day. Google it. We're losing trillions of dollars on the streets because of heroin and all the stuff that's coming on. He's just crazy. So somebody at that board meeting went, what happens if, could we come out with a drug that's similar to heroin, and we can convince people that, let's say we call it Suboxone, for instance. Everyone like the word Suboxone, but oh yeah, it sounds medical. Yeah, okay. We'll convince everybody by taking Suboxone that it's the clean, and they're under medical supervision, and it's all good. And the fucking world bought it. And that's exactly what they did. They took trillions of dollars that were being made on the streets into pharmaceutical companies, and people get stuck on that shit. It's a taper, man. Use it as a taper. I love it all day long. All day long.
Yeah, I mean, when you say we've been on it for 10 years, it's like, okay, well, what's our plan to get off of it? Like, we've been on it way too long. Yeah, that's why, personally, I try to recommend Vivitrol. I think that's the best of them all, personally. So, man, trying to think how to word it. So you run a very successful business. You speak all over the place. You do a lot of podcasts. You have your own, don't you? You did.
I don't anymore, because it just got too busy about 2 or 3 years ago to do mine.
Okay. So you have all that. We've talked on here for a while about many different things. What do you think your overall message is that you're trying to accomplish?
The overall message is this, proven and tested, I don't know how many times, man, is that you can do anything you want to do. I want to make that broad statement. Well, when I first come to America, I used to convince people, because we know the workings of the mind, subconscious brain, central nervous system, the DORA, even there's the wrapping around the brain. The number one thing that people used to say to me when I told them that is, well, I can't be president of the United States. That was the one answer they always used to give you, trying to be a smart. Okay, let's forget our political views. We're not into that. I'm definitely not into political stuff. We're a business and running the country for 4 years with no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me you can't achieve your dreams. It's not true. Somebody's put it there. As a kid or growing up. How many times have I told you, Robert, you can't go to college like your brother, you're too stupid? That's what I got to. You can't be a footballer. You're 6 years old. What's wrong with you? Get back to school. So then dreams as a kid that we had were kicked out of us by our family and friends. What do you want to be, Johnny? When you go, I want to be a doctor. Mom and dad, don't be stupid. You know, come from the projects. You can't be a doctor. All that shit is kicked out of us. When really, if you know the understandings and the workings of the mind and the mind controls the brain. People think the brain controls the mind. That's not true. Mind over matter. The brain's matter. So if we can get this guy in the morning, first thing, to get rid of the subconscious brain and ignite the conscious brain, can't we achieve anything? Well, we can. And you can. Period. So that is what I try and hit home is everybody we've worked with, and we have a 98% success rate, ish, might be 99, is the fact is that you're capable of doing anything. We just need to train the brain, get rid of the childhood trauma, which is the patterning of self-sabotage behavior, create, using all the tools, 9D, breath box, NLP, the brain spotting, the psychology, all that stuff, and recreate patterns and vibrations and frequencies in the brain that you will be changed, therefore change the world. It's 100% possible. 100%. Unless you suffer from severe brain damage, and again, when you're talking about psych right now, it's impossible that you don't change and you don't change the world. What does the world look like being changed? Compliment 3 people today. You just change the world. Right? And if you go, oh, that's not true. Okay. Next time you're in a built-up area of people, sneakers are always the best. Okay. When you see somebody walking towards you with sneakers, I want you to say 2 words. Nice sneakers. 2 words. Okay. Nice sneakers. Oh, thank you, man. Turn around. Watch him walk away from you. He's looking down at his sneakers at least 2, maybe 3 times. You've just changed his attitude, He goes on to the wife or girlfriend because he's in a great mood. Now she's in a great mood. Now the mother-in-law calls him because and you get the gist. You just change 3 people, you change the world. Nice sneakers. Can you imagine what you can change in a sentence, or being on a podcast, or even better, being on TV? We have to be changing the world every single day. We have to be. You have to be a 10 out of 10 every day. No, you can't be happy every day. Here's the answer, guys. Says who? Well, actually, says who? Who's making these rules up? You can't be happy every day, maybe, but me and millions of people like me, of course we can. You see, we're being sick of being told what we can and can't do. We're sick of people putting the brakes on our imagination. Oh, don't be silly. That's impossible. What's impossible? Impossible as impossible. I'll give you an apostrophe. Where are you going to put it? You're going to put it between the I and the M. It's going to spell out I'm possible. An apostrophe. That's a little tiny thing. When I throw to you and stick it in there, that's the reality. It's not that hard. People make it hard. People are jealous around you. People don't want you to succeed. They want you to stay in the shit that they're groveling down. Step away from them, guys. I can always go back to the projects back home, and I can help my old friends if need be. I just can't live there anymore. That's the difference. Who you surround yourself with is who you'll become. And again, how do we know this? 9 people can change 1. 1 people can't change 9. We had 9 actors we brought into our waiting room in San Antonio. The 9 actors were told this: $150, whatever it is, cup of coffee, you sit in the waiting room. We'll call you in one by one, but in the interim period, there'll be a buzzer that sounds every 45 seconds. When the buzzer sounds, we need to stand up for like 5 seconds and sit down again. There's 1 person in that room, actors, that doesn't know this is going on. It's a normal patient. Patient was told, come in, we're going to do a free session, we're doing a little trial and a theory test. Oh yeah, brilliant. She came in, everyone sat down, the scene is set. All 9 actors stood up. She's on her phone, we're watching it intensely. She looks up, she looks down, everyone sits down. Everyone stood up again. Now her phone goes in her lap and she's looking around. Everyone sits down again. 3rd time, she stands up with everybody else. And she sits down with everybody else. As we call the patients in one by one, or the actors in one by one, she was the only one left in the waiting room. She stood up. That's the power of the people around you. So if you're hanging around 9 losers, guess what? You're going to become a 10th. If you earn 30 grand a year and you want to earn 50 grand a year, you've got to hang around the guys that earn 50 grand a year. Well, I don't know anybody. It's called the internet. It's called Facebook groups. It's called anything that you can get. You have to step away from that if you want to take it to the next level. Now, I'm going to put a warning in there, guys. If you think money can make you happy, I got some bad news for you. Fucking what? Because here's the secret about money. If you're a dick when you're poor, you're going to be a dick when you're rich. Simple as that. You're not changing.
You're gonna be worse.
Yeah, answers that shit. So do the both, man. Do what you do best. If you're sat at home now and you go, well, I hate my job, I get another job. Well, they hate the wife, get another wife, another husband. You will never get rich by working with somebody else. If that's your deal, start a business. So we had a guy many years ago come to us and divorced, kids don't see him, and he's on the edge of suicide. He worked with us for about 6 weeks. And one day I said, hey, what's your hobby? Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. I said, why? You'll laugh. I'm not going to laugh. What's your hobby? I knit socks. I was like, really? Okay, why? For birthdays and, Christmas for family. I said, okay, then we're going to buy you a little website. We're going to get some business cards printed for you. And your deal is to sell 1 pair of socks this month. Are you in? Like, yeah, I'm in. He sold 3 pairs that month, which is unbelievable. That guy owns the biggest sock company in the world right now. You know, the company that you buy a pair and they give a pair away. Can't mention the name. So it's not true that you can't create empires. Stop saying, deep down inside, I'm going to get a business. No, you can build an empire, man.
Trying to get sponsored by that company, actually. I just did a podcast with a group. We can say their name. I just did a podcast with a group. They're called the Sober Souls Motorcycle Club, Motorcycle Club, and they're sponsored by them. And they get a lot of the socks for homeless people, and they give them out to everybody through their motorcycle club. Yeah. They're a cool company.
This is your lot. Your childhood trauma is the key to the future. If you're not succeeding in life today, if you can't keep a job, a girl, a guy, the childhood trauma. If you're living that less than childhood trauma, if you're not 100% happy, childhood trauma. And we used to say that years ago, therapists used to say that, but didn't used to know what childhood trauma was. There's the difference. A car crash, a divorce, plane crash. It's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the little tiny things that they got away with in the past, that they normalized in the past, that are killing us today. You got to go in depth with that, and you can't do it by voice. You've got to do it by all the tools, the subliminal tools, the 9-dimensional, all the brain spot. You've got to pull it out one by one and find out. You've got to uncover, discover, discard that trauma, which is 100% lodged in the subconscious brain. So you've got no chance of doing it on your own. You need help. Once it's out, man, all bets are off.
I try telling my clients that every day. People, I always explain to people that with this addiction thing, if we can just start little with changing the people around us, we can start changing the rest. The people around us are extremely important, I think.
So you can't change the people around us, but we can change the people around us. It's that kind of mentality that sets you away. Everybody's born for greatness. Everybody has a niche in life. Find your niche, man. Your brain's got to be clear. Your subconscious got to be clear. You've got to be happy with yourself. It's not up to you to make your girlfriend happy and vice versa. You have to be happy. You have to be the one that walks into the door, into the room, and everyone looks over and goes, oh yeah. Because I was that meat guy during my addiction. Used to walk into a room, any room, sit in the corner. I used to mumble to myself, wonder if anybody likes me in here. Now I kick that fucking door down and walk in and wonder who I like in there. It's not fucking ego, it's confidence. When you've been through what we've been through, there's no such thing as ego. Fucking hell. Oh, what's your ego? Well, first of all, fuck you. Secondly, don't tell me what to do. This is confidence working with God for over 35 years. This is what it is. This is what you see. You know, when you had your children taken over and you live on the streets and all your fucking life written, you call me ego, sonny boy? Give me a fucking break. Come on, baby.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I couldn't say. I'm laughing because I just literally had this conversation with somebody because I was, they were talking about ego, and I was like, man, this is confidence. I'm a high school dropout, a master's degree. I was a junkie, and I've been sober since '03. Like, there's some confidence in there. I kind of know what I'm doing, and like, not that ego, because ego comes from fear.
Yes.
And this isn't a fear. So, but no, like I get it, because like you see a lot of people that just project their fears onto you. You can't. This is impossible. No, it's impossible for you.
Yeah,
it's not impossible for me.
And they can sit there and watch you achieve whatever they said you can't do, which is always the best. I posted something the other day, and well, I've posted many times. If you want to piss anybody off, find out your real friends. Post something stupid that you've just bought or something, and watch the guys go quiet and don't comment. They're the guys that want to be you. Two kinds of people in the world: people that love you who you are, people that want to be you. Don't take anything less away from that. It fucking is. Posted happens for a new car. I posted the new car on, and somebody said, "Oh, it's showing off. You should just be quiet when you can afford stuff like that." And I'm like, "Well, fuck you. First of all, I'm showing people I'm not embarrassed about how much I earn, I'm confident about that, and it's to show other people that they can do it, and show the haters that, boy, I'm pissing you off right now. Don't tell me what to post on my own Facebook page." It's all, look at the watches, look at the cars, look at him, look at his ass. And what about everybody's jealous about what I have? Nobody's jealous how I fucking got here.
Yeah.
That's the deal with the haters out there. I'm down to about 4 now. It's pretty good. I think I've hired the rest of them. I think, over the years. But yeah, don't be put off by that, guys. When you achieve something, fucking show it. Don't be sat behind. Like, I used to park my car around the corner when I got my first nice car in AA, so nobody could see it because it would be embarrassing because they didn't have one. And my sponsor said, "Are you crazy?" Because I was that guy. I used to see these other guys pulling these Porsches and go, "Fuck me, look at them. They're doing well." They walked into the AA room and go, "Oh my God, it's one of us. Well, if he can do it, I can do it." It's like 100%. Don't let anybody tell you to rule your life. Or if they do, look at the source. So I do what I do to the best. I'm the best in the world at what I do. Prove me wrong. But this guy said, "Oh, look at you piece of shit, da 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 da." And I trace it and find out he's living in his mom's basement at the age of 39. His 2 kids don't speak to him. He's got 4 failure marriages. And I'm going to listen to your fucking comment? I fucking deal. It's not going to happen. But God bless you, man. We're trying. So true, man. So true.
Yeah. That's a perfect spot. So, all right, where can the guys find you at?
If you're listening, not watching, I spell my name with 2 B's, ROBBKELLY.com is the website. Jump on there, come and see us. And you know that book we were talking about, Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking? If you're in America listening to this and you mention either of us or contact either of us, I got 10 copies of the book. I will sign it for you. I will send it to you free of charge. Everything will be free. Arrive at your door. Give it a quick read, guys. When you finish with it, give it to somebody else free of charge. And job's gone. 10 copies free. You've got to mention either of us and put your money where your mouth is what I always say. So yeah, we're going to give them away today.
Nice, nice. We'll put all the comments in I'll put all the links in the description, everything like that, to find you. So, as always, you guys could have been anywhere in the world today. You sat here for the past 59 minutes and listened to us. So I greatly appreciate you for that. And hopefully you heard something that you needed to hear to just get through another day, because that's what it's about. If you can just get through today, tomorrow looks a little bit better. If you did not hear what you need to hear, everybody and their brother got a podcast out there, so just start Googling until you find something. I don't care how you get there, as long as you get there. You don't have to suffer in silence anymore. So we appreciate you for stopping by. I appreciate you for listening, and you have a good night.